the full works tarmac car that was used by Roger Clark on the Monte Carlo Rally. It's been to Ireland since then once before. That's when it came to Galway and won by 14 minutes. It's back in Ireland now again, and it's going to win, if things go according to plan, by about 6 minutes from Russell Brooks this time. A fabulous motor car, a fabulous driver. The man comes from Cork. He shot into prominence in the 1969 Second of Ireland Rally, and then since then he has been rallying regularly. He started in a very tatty motor car. He's now in a full works motor car, and there he goes off the line, the enormous great wide boots in this motor car, trying to grapple for grip, chucking it into the right-hander. All spectacle, a fabulous man to watch in a motor car. Down now into the sharp right. There he goes, using all the track and a little bit of grass, and that's the pond that they've got to be very wary of. Somebody is sure to go fishing there today. Round the back of the pond, over the very yumpy bit, nearly getting the tail too far out, but Coleman's too experienced to make a mistake at this stage. Flat out down the straight, and then will erupt into our sight again through the trees. And there is Billy Coleman from Mill Street in Cork, almost certain now to notch up his second consecutive Circuit of Ireland win, but he was right off the course almost there. On the tarmac bit, now down through the very narrow bridge, over, the flag drops, and all he's got to do now is get to line. And there's the futuristic Stratus, the Lancia Stratus. Walfridson in the seat. A lot of trouble with this car, and it's an absolute miracle that this car got to Ireland at all. Coleman's time, 58 seconds dead. And the Stratus is off. The Stratus long slotted there. He's got it back on the track again. Walfridson having a very fraught rally. He busted the front suspension in the car yesterday, and if it hadn't been for the fact that one stage was cancelled, the car literally wouldn't have got this far. But there's somebody who will be sitting in Lyons tonight absolutely delighted that his motor car has finished the Circuit of Ireland Rally, and that's Graham Warner, the owner. Because only 3 weeks ago, this car literally ended a rally 14 foot up a tree. And it's an absolute miracle that it was rebuilt in time for the circuit, and a great credit to the mechanics. Here it comes, up the straight. This is where a car that's almost a racing car really benefits from the tarmac grip over the finish line, and Walfridson ends his run. Desi McCartney now in picture. Desi McCartney had cruel luck before the rally even started. He's lost in the trees there for a minute, but there he is. Down round the pond. Walfridson's time, 1 minute 05, a lot slower due to that mistake than Coleman, so Coleman by far the quickest yet. Desi McCartney on the way back from scrutiny on Thursday blew up his best engine and had to take out what he calls a cooking unit from under the kitchen sink. And my goodness, he's been really showing that it doesn't matter what engine he's got in this motor car, because he led the rally until Friday night, and now he's in a fairly comfortable third position. So there he is. Desi in third position overall in the Porsche, and his brother Ronnie leading the Group 1. Now, little Russell Brooks, the man who's been fastest since lunchtime on Sunday, really trying all the way. Again, he had lots of problems before the start, including losing all his papers for the event. Then he went off on the first section at the start of the Killarney run on Sunday, got a maximum of that stage, and since then he's been just about the fastest man the whole way. Desi McCartney's time, 1 minute dead, so Coleman's still the quickest at 58 seconds by a long chalk. But watch Brooks. This looks very, very quick indeed. Russell Brooks, been to Ireland quite a few times. He's a semi-works Ford driver and really trying, absolutely fabulous there, Brooks. Up on the tarmac bit, down into the very tight little bridge, and having a bit of trouble getting it all collected there, but he's done it, and that must be a quick one. And going off the line, the big red Porsche of Brian Evans. Brian Evans getting a bit twitchy there. A very consistent driver, exactly the same as Coleman's time, Russell Brooks, 58 seconds dead. So the two Fords, the quickest here this morning. There's Brian Evans now. round the pond, and they're being very wary of that bit of water. And he's had damage in the back of the car there. That wasn't evident at the supper hall last time, but it must have been done up in the Donegal stages overnight. And there he is, Brian Evans, coming out of the trees. Navigator Roderick Jones, and he's done it all wrong. He's off into the greenery. He's stopped. What a thing to do on the last stage. So Evans in trouble there, and this is critical because he's very close to Wolfertson on the road, and that's going to have done him a lot of damage. He was only about a second behind Wolfertson on the road, sorry, a minute behind Wolfertson, but that's blown it. Blown it for Brian Evans, but still, he's very likely to come in 5th overall. And there's Will Sparrow, a very spectacular man to watch in the Works Vauxhall, number 9, Will Sparrow. Again, he's had troubles. In fact, on the first stage out yesterday morning from Killarney, he thought he had a puncture because the car was handling most peculiarly. When he stopped to investigate, he discovered he was short of a wheel. Brian Evans' time, 1 minute 14, the slowest so far due to that mistake. Look at little Will Sparrow, a fabulous man to watch in the car. DTV, the Vauxhall people had hoped to build up a super lightweight car for the circuit, and really putting the heart across the spectators there. Sparrow in 6th position, total time 512 minutes 39 seconds. That would have been a quick time. And this is another courseman and a cousin of Billy Coleman. This is Gerard Buckley, who's been really flying through the night because he had lots of trouble with the gearbox, but had time to change the entire unit, and since then he's been moving. Sparrow's time is excellent, 59 seconds, only 1 second slower than both Brooks and Coleman, who tie for fastest time so far. Number 14 then, Gerard Buckley. Being a cousin of Billy Coleman has lots of advantages. First, the quickness is bred into the family, and secondly, you can get his old cars. And this is the car that he used in Donegal last year. He's not so well known up in this part of the world, Gerard, but in Donegal he went very well, but in Cork 20 Rally is almost his own property. The exhaust system sounding a bit ropey on it, and a little bit rough, that motor car, the Mark II Escort. And there is Morley, Harold Morley, in the black Porsche Carrera. Harold said to be one of the fastest dentists in the world. He really knows the drill, if you'll pardon the expression. And nearly going off the track there, very nearly off the road there. Gerard Buckley's time, 1 minute 03. Not so quick, but the car did sound sick. But we're watching Morley with David Moore, the navigator. He's from England, from Manchester actually, and gave up rallying for a couple of seasons there and took up show jumping, but he finds rallying much safer. And right off that time, and they really must be tired, these men. They've driven for 24 hours. Some of the notable retirements have been Cathal Curley, and he's right round. Morley right round. And that is probably an advanced case of brain fade for this man who's been up for 24 hours. A very tired Mr. Morley, normally a very cautious gentleman. Number 16 on the circuit at the moment. Ken Shields, very consistent. Very well known from Belfast. Very well known for his driving test expertise, and I really mean that. He's been head of the driving test team from Northern Ireland that have won the Internations series for about 14 times in a row. Harold Morley's time, 1 minute 0.9, not bad, seeing he almost did an extra lap of the place. And Shields is round. Ken Shields is round. And that's very odd. Again, a man who is so consistent. He has, without doubt, probably the best finishing record ever on the circuit of Ireland. He's only failed to finish the event once, and when you consider that he's done it about 16 times, that's amazing. And he's lying 8th overall at the moment. Number 19, Brendan Fagan from Dublin, with Graham Campbell in the passenger seat, another one of these very attractive Mark II escorts. Fagan has not been happy with this car over the weekend. He said he'd rather get back to a Group 1 or a more standard motor car. Ken Shields' time, 1 minute 0.3. So it's still Brooks and Coleman in the lead, with Sparrow third quickest. And notable retirements, when we do get a chance to tell you, with Cathal Curley, who went over one of these flying yumps yesterday at such enormous speed that he broke the steering of the car. Very sad on Cathal, who of course had eye trouble before the event. Brian Nelson went out on the third stage out of Killarney yesterday morning, just going a bit quick, I think. David Agnew hardly got past the start with a rather sick engine in his Porsche. David Lindsay had engine trouble too. Jimmy McRae, one of the leading DTV drivers, he went off the road, but we have Joe Pat O'Kane, number 21 in the Porsche, going down with Roy Sloane in the passenger seat. Joe Pat is a very consistent competitor, a very regular competitor, but probably best known in rallying worlds for two most memorable occasions. One when he finishes the Circuit of Ireland on 3 wheels, literally, and the other when during the Circuit of Donegal he failed to finish the second day because he overslept. So he's not oversleeping by any means now. Brendan Fagan's time, 1 minute 0.2 seconds. Joe Pat O'Kane coming out of the loose section now onto the tarmac. That's where Ken Shields did it all wrong. Roy Sloane is his navigator, a very experienced man and a top rally organizer as well as navigator. Up he comes Uncle Joe, one of the more veteran competitors in Ireland. He's raced, he's rallied, he's done everything, and he's a great sport. And here we have the Group 1 leader, Ronnie McCartney, absolutely flying, a real crowd pleaser. Now is he going to be the first into the park? Down through the right-hander, leading Group 1. And that has been an immense battle, beautifully, just almost tucking the back wheel into the pond there. Really moving on over the yumps and down the back section, an RS 2000 car. Sean Campbell led Group 1 up until last night when the gearbox broke. Then Robin Eyre Mansell took it over with Ronnie McCartney on his wheels. Robin Eyre Mansell drove the car this morning, and Ronnie has been handed the Group 1 lead. But this is the sort of way he's been driving round Ireland. Totally spectacular. A former winner of the Circuit of Ireland. In 1964 he won the event outright and really enjoys his motorsport. And here's a real story. Just look at that motor car. A fresh air expert if ever there was one. Ben Glumström in the Swedish driver in the Toyota, being navigated by Fred Gallagher. And Ronnie McCartney's time, an amazing 59 seconds. One of the quickest times in a Group 1 motor car. That is an astonishing time. Ben Lundstrom has been off the road at least, we think, 3 times. The first time was on 3 stages out in the rally when he happened to invert the motor car, lost the windscreen right at Fred Gallagher's parents' feet. A heart-stopping moment for poor Fred's parents, and he's nearly off again. Wasn't much width for the Toyota there as it went skating through the trees. Last night, not being content with having put her on the roof already once, he ended up in a river and was nearly an hour late. He got about 45 spectators to get about. So if you want to buy a Toyota that's a little bit bent but still goes like stink, nip down to Antrim Castle. Number 59, John Coyne, another one of the top Group 1 competitors, lying 14th overall. Ben Lundstrom's time, 1 minute dead. John Coyne, he's had puncture problems. Desi Wilson in the navigator's seat, and the first Hillman Avenger to finish, and sounding a little bit sicker. The exhaust system has taken an awful battering round Ireland. Remember, they've almost done 1,500 miles of competitive motorsport, and that is some test for a motor car. Some of the stages are loose, most of them are all tarmac, some of them are very fast, and some of them are very, very rough indeed. And really, every problem a road can give you is all thrown into the Circuit of Ireland rally. And here comes John Coyne, used to drive imps from the south of Ireland there, and nearly clipping the bridge, almost the first man to clip the bridge that time. Number 52 on the road, John McAlorum, also well up in the Group 1, in fact lying second in Group 1 at the moment, in another of the new RS 2000s. Very attractive motor cars, the droop snoot on the front there. John Coyne's time, 1 minute 0.2 seconds dead, but by far the quickest so far in Group 1 has been Ronnie McCartney. In fact, he is fourth quickest overall. No, sorry, equal third quickest overall, with Will Sparrow in a full Group 2 car. But look at McAlorum go. The current Northern Ireland rally champion. First time he's had this motor car out. He's been navigated by Paul Phelan, who won the rally last year. All sideways stuff, and this has got to be a quick time. A great entertainer, John McAlorum. Used to drive BMWs, has a garage in Bangor. Thoroughly enjoys his motorsport. And there he goes over the bridge, a little bit tippy-toes there. Getting the finish fine, number 46 now on the track of the BMW, and a very interesting man it is too. John Lyons, former triple driving test champion, auto test champion, the only man who has ever won in 1 year, and that was last year, the RAC Championship, the Northern Ireland Championship, and the Southern Auto Test Championship. And really, his first big-time rally, and he's lying, we think at the moment, third in Group 1 and probably 12th overall. Comes from Castlederg, where he works in the bank. McAlorum's time, 1 minute 05 seconds. There's John Lyons. Very neat, steady, and he was having huge throttle troubles during the night. In fact, he actually had to drive about 3 or 4 stages with a piece of string coming out of the bonnet. Oh, very spectacular as he really hoots the BMW 2002 round that one. Literally had to operate the throttle on a piece of string coming out of the bonnet during the night, but that seems to have been fixed. We don't see the string and we see a lot of action. 37 there, Fred Patterson. Fred Patterson sells lorries, and Martin Riley, who navigates him, comes from Sligo, and he sells just about anything. And they're really having fun. They're not quite as far up in the results as we might have hoped. They had a lot of trouble. The bonnet flew off at one time, but I'm sure if enjoyment is the name of the game, those two people have enjoyed themselves this weekend. John Lyons' time, very quick, 1 minute 0.2 seconds. And Fred Patterson going straight on. Number 37, the car that won the Circuit of Ireland 3 years ago when Carol Curley owned it. Getting a little bit naughty a few corners ago, but he's got it all collected together. Little Martin Riley, as he calls himself, the little man from Sligo, no doubt ticking him off for that one. Gets the finish line. Number 40 really flying in the Avenger there, another Group 1 car. And this, we think, is Robin Lyons. Robin Lyons in a Group 1 car. Normally drives a Group 2 Escort. And he's showing quite well in the results too, maybe about 16th overall. The Group 1 cars are in fact more or less the family saloons. And you're allowed very little tuning on them. They're more or less as your car would be at home. Certain suspension modifications are allowed, and more recently you have been allowed to tune up the engines just a little bit to make it more exciting. And how exciting it can be when you see people like Ronnie McCartney setting up such enormously quick cars. He almost was in trouble with the bridge too, but finishing very successfully. And another car that's been on its route, number 41, Fred Patterson from Larne, Fred Crawford from Larne, with Tommy Spears, an RS 2000, a Mark 11. Goes very well in Northern Ireland Rally Championship events. John Lyons' time, 1 minute 0.3 seconds. Sorry, Robin Lyons' time, 1 minute 0.3 seconds. And there goes Mr. Crawford. Fred Crawford shot into prominence in the rallying world about 3 years ago when he shocked all the establishment by finishing 4th overall on the Gibbons of the Causeway Coast Rally. Very quick man, hasn't really figured as high up in the results in this one as we would expect him. And obviously is going to have to do a lot of work with the hammer when he gets back to Larne. So there he goes, Fred Crawford, who didn't retire, but we were telling you about some other notable retirements. Sean Campbell, as I say, was leading the Group 1. There's Jimmy Logan, another very quick man in an RS 2000, a garage man from just outside Belfast. James Logan, he really has been showing well in results recently. Again, a Group 1 car. 1 minute 0.4 seconds for Fred Crawford. As I said, the top leader for 3/4 of the rally in the Group 1 was Sean Campbell from Bury. Then, sadly, his gearbox gave up last night. He handed the lead to Robin Mansell, who put the car on the roof of Plum Bridge, and that was the end of those two. So Ronnie McCartney now becomes the leader, but the battle is still very much on. As you can see, Jimmy Logan really having a go. There he goes, James Logan, over the bridge, getting the checkered flag. Number 50, Kenneth McMillan, in his Group 2 car. You can tell the difference by the flared arches allowed in these cars, and that wasn't intended. He obviously has had a lot of trouble with a wall or something during the way round, but everybody being very good in keeping out of the pond so far. Jimmy Logan's time, 1 minute 0.1 seconds. So maybe looking down the long straight there, Kenneth McMillan this is, David Fole in the passenger seat. Down onto the tarmac, and the last bit of flat-out motoring he's going to have to do before he finishes the 1976 event. Over the finish line. Another RS 2000. Group 2 form, Tom Lawther from Cumber. Tom made his name in rallying in minis. Last couple of years he's driven Group 1 Fiats. Kenneth McMillan's time, 1 minute 0.2 seconds. And now he's got this Group 2 RS Escort. Round the pond, and look how that's getting cut up down there. They're really having trouble getting through that right-hander at the end of the pond. They just have to finish this section and then go on the road to Larne, and that will be the end of a very tiring 24 hours of motoring. Of course, 24 hours was only the last section. They've almost been going since Friday lunchtime. There he goes, Tom Lawther finishing his run. Number 58, another Group 1 RS 2000. Down he comes. Through the right-hander there. Sounds very sick indeed, this gentleman. And I'm afraid he's a bit of a mystery guest here at Antrim Castle this afternoon, because we don't have him on our programme at the moment, but he's doing very well. Maybe a chance for a quick recap on the overall positions. Coleman is almost certain to be the leader from Brooks. Desi McCartney, 3rd position. Pierre Wolfertson will be in 4th. Brian Evans in the Porsche 5th. Sparrow in the Vauxhall 6th. Sparrow and Buckley, another Escort 7th. Ken Shields in the Porsche 8th. Ronnie McCartney, first Group 1 in an RS 2000, exactly similar to this motor car. That's John Scallon. That was John Scallon in that motor car. Billy Ferguson now on the circuit. So John Scallon, the man that we unfortunately couldn't recognize immediately. It's interesting, this is a Mexico, and that was nearly the first man in the pond. Escort Mexico, as opposed to the RS 2000, a 1600cc engine in that car. So John Scallon, the man in the previous car, who rather caught us by surprise. But just to recap, the first in Group 1 is very, very likely to be Ronnie McCartney, and 10th overall will be Harold Morley in the Porsche Carrera, who, as we saw earlier on, did it all wrong here at Antrim Castle. There he goes, Billy Ferguson over the finish line, and he's got a bent rear wing. I know the feeling. Number 64, William McVicker and Eric Hughes. In their Avenger, William McVicker has done quite a bit of international rallying. Billy Ferguson's time, 1 minute 0.5 seconds. Done quite a bit of international rallying. He did Circuit of Donegal, where he won his class about 3 years ago, and quite often appears in the circuit. Thoroughly enjoys himself. We haven't got his Group 1 placing, but I would imagine he must be in the first 10 with this car. It looks remarkably clean, considering all it's been through. Not the sign of even a scratch on it. Out onto the tarmac, flicking the tail out, and up he comes the straight. There he is, William McVicker coming over the finish line, taking the checkered flag. And a lovely big car. Number 66, Brian Patterson and Neil Fitzsimmons. Brian has had, would you believe, string wipers on this car overnight. The wipers packed up, so they got 2 bits of string, and they said to the navigator, you pull one way and I'll pull the other, mate. And that's the way they kept the windscreen clear. A spectacular big car to drive, these 3-litre Capris, and he's off round the pond there. We thought he was on the grass for one horrible moment, and I'm sure his wife and 3 children are glued to the box at the moment, because his wife Liz has been the secretary to the press team of this rally, and she's, I think, had about 2 hours sleep since Friday, but she'll be propping her eyelids over as hubby comes scorching through up onto the tarmac and flicking the tail out in an almost impossible angle. The big snort of the V6 engine there as he comes up, fishtailing it in over the bridge, and he must have tired arms after that effort. So there you are. We have seen the last stage of the Circuit of Ireland Rally, and the 2 quickest men over it were Coleman and Russell Brooks, who did 58 seconds dead. Then, amazingly, the next 2 quickest were Will Sparrow in the full Group 2 TTV Castrol Magnum, and equal fastest with him was Ronnie McCartney in the Group 1 RS2000 Escort. Then Desi was next up, 1 minute dead, and Bengt Lundström, despite his problems and despite nearly cleaning quite a few trees, was also at 1 minute dead. John Coyne did a good one, 1 minute 0.2, quite a few of that, with John Lyons at that time as well. But in the overall results of the rally, it looks very like being another champagne job for Billy Coleman, this time with his old friend Dan O'Sullivan in the navigator's seat. Russell Brooks, after a fabulous climb up back through the field, looks very likely to be in 2nd place. Desi McCartney will be 3rd.